All right, a couple of things. Let's start with Cleveland. How bad are things in Cleveland, and how much worse is it going to get?
Well, I think things are going to get better in the sense that they'll get a lot of these guys off the COVID list. The problem is their schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the AFC North is. They got to play the Packers on Christmas Day on Saturday now. I think they'll get Baker Mayfield and some of these guys back by Saturday, but I guess you don't know how long it takes for the virus to get out of your body so that you don't test positive. That was a huge loss last night. I mean, I can't remember ever calling a game. There's a lot of things that were surprising last night, but can't remember calling a game where if the team won, they were in first place in their division and they were the 4 seed. But because Derek Carr led the Raiders for that field goal late and the Browns lost, Dan, they're the 12 seed now. They went from the 4 seed to the 12 seed. I've never heard of that. And it's because there's about 25 teams in the NFL that have 7 or 8 wins right now. It's unbelievable. And you look at the whole AFC North, they all have tough schedules moving forward. It kind of feels like the Bengals are the team with the best chance right now. The Ravens are kind of reeling. Steelers are still kind of beat up. The only thing I thought I knew before the season was that the Bengals would be the worst team in the AFC North, and they might end up winning the division.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the Cleveland Browns, if they don't make the playoffs, how do you assess Baker Mayfield for that next big contract that is kind of hanging over the franchise?
I don't think they're going to give him one. I really don't. I mean, if you remember after the Lions game, they won, and he didn't talk to the media the day after the game, and his wife had a social media post. And then even last week, when they beat the Ravens, he talked about how they were too conservative. He talked about internal things. Like, what are you doing? I mean, what's he? First of all, this is the worst he's played in a while. But secondly, why is he going back to a couple years ago when he's saying things in the media that just don't help the team? Internal things, calling out the coaching staff when being too conservative. My read on it is I think that the contract thing's bothering him. I think that he's seen what happened with Josh Allen. I think he probably has a feeling that maybe the organization doesn't love him. And that's got to be hard. I mean, he's always had the chip on his shoulder. He walks on at Texas Tech. They don't love him. He leaves. He goes to Oklahoma. It's got to be tough to be the number 1 overall pick. A year ago, he's the toast of the town, and the Browns are. And I think on some level, part of this buildup is because he's getting nervous that they're not going to make him the guy. They're not going to give him the long-term deal.
Yeah, I just wonder what the Browns, how they assess this. And I was surprised when he talked about something internal, and it felt like there was a disconnect with him and Kevin Stefanski, the head coach. It feels like Baker's involved in all of these controversies. It's Odell Beckham, it's play calling, wanting to play. I decide if I'm going to play or not. And there's a little too much there for me and not enough production that I can put up with this if you give me that. And right now, that's a balancing act that I don't like.
Well, and to add on to that, okay, they won both of those games. To me, Dan, as a former player, I'm an offensive lineman. Why is he creating drama after wins? I mean, we should be happy. We won the game. And yet against the Lions, they didn't score very many points. They didn't talk to the media. And against the Ravens, they let the Ravens come back. So he says internal things. These are wins. Why that's the part of it that probably bothers me the most.